The TFSA is the most powerful investment account in Canada and probably the most beautiful thing we have access to. The problem is, most people don't know how to actually use it properly. The government gave us this account back in 2009, yet every year I still see people using it as a basic savings account. A recent TD survey shows that while 65% of Canadians surveyed hold a TFSA, 39% of them are not investing the money inside of it, rising to 41% for both Gen Z and millennials. So that's why in today's video, I'm breaking down exactly what the TFSA is, the rules and limits around it, why it's so powerful, and why if you live in Canada and you don't have one, you are quite literally missing out on free wealth building. Real quick, if you like these kinds of videos, then be sure to subscribe to the channel because Canadian finance and real estate is really all I post. So with that, let's jump into the video. What is a TFSA? I mean, let's start here. TFSA stands for tax-free savings account, but like the name suggests, it is not just a savings account. It is so much more. It is a tax-free savings account. And inside of it, you can hold so much more than just cash. You can hold investments such as stocks, mutual funds, ETFs, bonds, GICs, and yes, even cash depending on your situation. And as of 2026, you cannot directly hold cryptocurrencies inside your TFSA, although you can invest in crypto-linked ETFs. But it's important to keep in mind that crypto is a very volatile market and you might want to avoid it in your tax-free savings account, because we're going to cover in just a bit what happens if you end up losing money inside your TFSA. Here are the main advantages of the TFSA. Number one, your money grows tax-free. There is absolutely no tax on your gains. Number two is your withdrawals are completely tax-free. Number three, there are no penalties, no clawbacks. And number four, it does not affect your government benefits, whether CPP or old age security. The main thing to keep in mind is no matter how much money you make, whether inside the account or on yearly income, it will not affect anything income related. So hypothetically speaking, even if you made $1 billion inside the account, $1 billion, it will not affect anything. The CRA doesn't get a dime. It doesn't even affect your government pensions that you already have. But I want you to really think about that for a second, because I feel like a lot of us take the TFSA for granted. I mean, other than the sale of your principal residence, there is no other way in Canada to realize an investment gain completely tax-free, withdraw it whenever you want for whatever reason you want. The moment you understand this is when you realize how truly powerful the TFSA really is, because the biggest drag on wealth in Canada is taxes. Taxes consume more than 45% of household income for the average Canadian family. That's when you factor in income taxes, payroll taxes, but then also consider health taxes, sales taxes, property taxes, fuel taxes, carbon taxes. Everywhere you look, there's taxes and you're paying for it with after-tax money. So yeah, it's nice to have that one account where the CRA cannot take a slice no matter how much you make inside that account. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Now let's talk about the eligibility and contribution room inside the TFSA. So in order to open one, you must 1. Be a Canadian tax resident, 2. Be 18 years or older or the age of majority in your province, and 3. Have a valid social insurance number. Now, if your province's age of majority is 19 years old, then you will have to wait until that age to open the account, but your contribution room starts from when you turned 18. Now let's talk about the contribution room, and the government announces the annual contribution limit ahead of time. Here's the breakdown so far. So your max contribution room is the sum of all years contribution room since the year you turned 18, regardless of when you open the account. Now that is a major distinction between the TFSA and the FHSA, because the FHSA contribution room starts the moment you open the account, whereas the TFSA, your contribution room is summed up since the year you turned 18. For example, if you were over 18 in 2009, meaning that you were born in 1991 or earlier, and you've never contributed, your total contribution room in 2026 would be the maximum amount, which is $109,000. Now, on the other hand, let's say you were born in 2003, meaning that you turned 18 in 2021 and you've never contributed. Then your limit for 2026 would be $39,500, which is still a phenomenal amount for someone who is 23 years old and probably didn't buy a house yet, who's also eligible for the FHSA. It's still a great amount that you have access to putting into your TFSA. So here's important notes for withdrawals, gains, and losses. When you take money out or you withdraw from your TFSA, that amount will get added back to your contribution room, but only in the following year, not immediately. Now, it's important to keep that in mind when you're withdrawing, especially after making a gain or a loss inside the TFSA. For example, let's say your contribution limit, just to keep things simple, is $7,000. You contribute $7,000 and it grows to $10,000 and you withdraw the entire $10,000. Next year, your contribution room will increase by $10,000 plus the amount for the following year. So you have just permanently gained $3,000 of new contribution room inside your TFSA. Be careful because the opposite is also true. Let's say your contribution limit is $7,000. Now in this case, the $7,000 investment drops to $4,000 and you decide to withdraw that $4,000. Your contribution room will increase by $4,000 plus the amount for the following year. But now you need to understand you have now permanently lost $3,000 of money and contribution room in your TFSA. So you probably want to avoid investing in highly volatile markets or just simply putting all your eggs in the same basket, especially if you need the money short term. So now let's compare what happens in a TFSA versus an unregistered account, or in other words, a basic savings account. So let's say you take $20,000 and you invest it into an index fund averaging 8% per year. Now, after 10 years, that amount will grow to $44,510 and you decide to sell or withdraw. This means that you have now made a gain of $24,510. So now in an unregistered account, this gain is called a capital gain. Half of that gain will become a taxable capital gain, basically added back to your income and taxed at your marginal tax rate, meaning your highest tax rate. So let's calculate how much that actually is in taxes. Now, for someone who's earning $60,000 in Ontario, the marginal tax rate is 29.65%. So on the taxable capital gain of $12,255, the tax bill would be $3,634 that is directly lost to taxes. And let's say that gain was not a capital gain and it was purely from interest income alone, then that entire amount of $24,000 would be added to your income and taxed as income, meaning that instead you would now owe $7,267 in taxes. Now, if that same exact investment was done inside the TFSA rather than an unregistered account, it is so simple. There's just no taxes at all. No taxes on gains, no taxes on withdrawals, no penalties, no clawbacks, no effects to your government benefits. It's truly amazing. Instead of being taxed somewhere between $3,500 to $7,000 on your investment gain, the cash actually stays inside the account, remains invested, and is allowed to compound over time. And then even if you do choose to sell and withdraw, there are zero tax complications whatsoever, no effects to your current government benefits. It's a beautiful thing. With all that, the TFSA is an absolute no-brainer move for any Canadian who is eligible to open one. So here are some of the biggest TFSA mistakes that Canadians make and I see all the time. Number one is using it like a savings account. Opening a TFSA just to hold cash inside is one of the biggest missed opportunities that you have in your entire life in Canada. I mean, really, if you're keeping cash inside earning 1% while inflation runs at say 3-4%, it's very simple. You're losing money. And the reason banks can actually offer you more is because your cash is liquid, meaning that you can withdraw it at any time. One of the big ways that banks make their money is by using your deposits and loaning it out to somebody else at a higher rate, and they profit on the difference. So if your money is just sitting in cash, it is not invested, then the banks really cannot rely on it being there and have to be ready to pay it out at any time that you come and withdraw it, which means if you are keeping cash inside your TFSA earning, let's say 1% or less, that is a huge missed opportunity and a huge mistake I see all the time. Number two is not investing early. It's very simple. Compounding rewards time. Every year that you wait costs you exponential growth. Even just a little bit will compound massively over a long period of time and can make a huge difference. Number three is one that not many people actually make. It's still very important to know, and that is day trading inside a TFSA. Look, if the CRA thinks that you're running a day trading business, then they're going to tax you like a business. It's really as simple as that. So do not day trade inside your TFSA. Number four is not understanding withdrawal rules. This is so much more common than people actually think, and I know I covered it a little bit earlier in the video. I'm just gonna quickly cover it again. When you withdraw from your account, that amount will get added back to your account in your contribution room, but only in the following year, not immediately. And not knowing this can easily lead to mistake number five, which is over contributing. Now, whether it's because they didn't know about the withdrawal rules or they simply just went over their limit, you need to know that every single dollar that is over the contribution limit will be charged a 1% penalty per month. Yes, per month. And that can accumulate to large penalties if it's left in there for multiple months. For example, if you over contribute $5,000 and you forgot about it for 3 months or just simply didn't know about it, that is a $150 fine. Finally, mistake number 6 is one that honestly most people don't actually know about, and that is not listing your spouse as a successor holder. If you list a beneficiary to your TFSA, the beneficiary will receive the cash inside the TFSA, but in straight cash. Now, if you list a spouse as a successor holder, which you can only list a spouse as a successor holder, well, then the successor holder will be transferred the cash inside the TFSA to their own TFSA without it affecting their contribution room at all. The choice is pretty clear. So the bottom line is the TFSA is not just some ordinary savings account that is tax sheltered. No, it is a gift that we are given. It is one of the best wealth building tools that we have access to in Canada, and it is the only account where your money grows completely tax free and you can access it at any time for any reason. Don't just open a TFSA and just let money sit idle inside of there. I mean, don't waste the opportunity. If you found this video helpful, then be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons. It would really mean the world to me. I would truly appreciate it. And be sure to go check out this video right here. I mean, YouTube thinks you're gonna like it, and they're probably right.